The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. 16 persons have been robbed and beaten senseless. The victims describe the assailant as a tall, beautiful woman. Your job, stop her.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, if you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Ladies and gentlemen, next week marks the beginning of National Crime Prevention Week, sponsored by your local police department. These 7 days are set aside to call your attention to the fact that your police officer, to better ensure the safety of your community, relies on the cooperation of the individual citizen. We feel that crime prevention should be observed not 7, but 365 days a year.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, October 3rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of robbery detail. My partner is Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on the way over from the city hall, and it was 6:55 p.m. when we got to the county hospital, Ward 9800, room 12.
This way, gentlemen. The third bed.
Thank you.
Here we are. Please try not to excite him, Sergeant. He's had a pretty hard time.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Make your visit as brief as possible.
We will, thanks.
Mr. Maloney, how you feeling?
Not so good. You fellas doctors?
No, sir. Police officers. This is Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday. Robbery detail.
Oh. Find out anything yet?
Still checking, Mr. Maloney. We'd like to have you tell us exactly what happened night before last.
Well, she sure had me fooled. That's all I can say.
You're not the first one. 15 others ahead of you. Would you tell us what happened?
Well, I left the shop a little after midnight, and I started to drive home out Central Avenue.
You work at Maloney's Steakhouse down on South Commercial, isn't that right?
Yes, sir. My uncle owns the place. His name's J. Brown Maloney. He knows a lot of cops. You know him?
We met him this afternoon. Could you tell us what happened after you left work?
Well, I started to drive home out Central Avenue. I guess it must have been around 18th Street. Would you push that pill up a little bit?
Yes, sir. I'll get it here. How's that?
Thanks. I pulled up for the arterial. I saw this gal standing on the corner. She was hitchhiking.
Do you remember what she looked like, how she was dressed?
Well, you know, kind of flashy, but nice clothes. Good-looking dame. Tall, long blonde hair. Beautiful eyes.
You're sure about the color of her hair?
Yeah, it was blonde.
And you offered her a ride?
I didn't think there was anything wrong in it. I'm a married man, you know. I didn't think there was anything wrong.
What happened then?
Well, she got in the car and we drove off. We talked a while and then she pulled a gun on me. Told me to drive up an alley.
Where was that? Do you remember?
Around 32nd Street. 32nd is Central.
And then what?
She took my wallet, watch, car keys, everything I had.
Mm-hmm.
And she made me get out of the car, lay down on the street. I felt her shove that gun again. Can you fix that pillow?
Yeah, you bet. Just lie still here. There you are.
I felt her shove that gun against me, and then she pulled the trigger, I guess. That's all I remember.
You don't recall her slugging you?
It must have happened after she shot me. Her face looks pretty bad, huh?
You'll be all right, Mr. Maloney. You think you'd recognize the girl if you saw her again?
I sure would. Nice looking, you know. Tall, blonde, beautiful shape. Doesn't figure, does it?
What's that?
She'd make more money on the stage than she would rolling guys like me. Must be crazy.
Maybe. Did you look at these mug shots, Mr. Maloney, and see if any of these look like her?
Let's see.
Yeah. This one?
No.
How about this one here?
No. Let's see. No.
How about this one?
No, she was better looking.
Well, here's the last one.
I don't know. This might be her. The hair was fixed right. Maybe a little more makeup. I'm not sure.
All right, Mr. Maloney. Thank you.
We'll be back to see you in a day or so when you're feeling better.
Okay. Say, my name won't be in the papers, will it?
No, sir, not unless you give it to him.
I was just wondering if a wife might not understand giving a girl a ride, you know?
Yes, sir, we know.
Well, thank you, Mr. Maloney. We'll be checking back with you later on.
Okay, officers. I hope you get a line on that dame.
We're going to try. Goodbye.
Sure messed up, isn't it?
Yeah. That dame's got some other motive besides money.
Psycho. Some kind of a sadist, maybe.
Yeah.
Find out what you wanted, Sergeant.
Yes, we did. Thanks, nurse. What'd the doctor say about Maloney? Is he going to be all right?
Well, he had a severe beating, but he'll get over that all right. It's the bullet wound in the back.
He'll recover, won't he?
The bullet shattered part of the spinal cord. There was nothing the doctor could do.
Yeah?
Paraplegia. He'll never walk again.
We left the county hospital, went back to the office, and got out a local broadcast for the woman whose mugshot Maloney had partially identified. Her name was Beverly Allen. She had a record of 3 arrests and 1 conviction of 240 PC, assault and battery. After we checked in the office, we went across the street to the crime lab. Lee Jones had already examined the bullet taken from Maloney's spine and the cartridge casing found at the scene of the shooting. Both of them bore the same markings as those which had wounded the 2 previous victims. From the striations, the gun had been previously identified as a .45 Colt. Maloney's car was examined. We found nothing. We went back to the city hall and checked in at the stats office. It was 8:35 p.m.
Hi, Ethel. Make that run for us yet?
Just a minute, Sergeant.
How you coming, Ethel?
Fine, here. Same old run. Back 7 years on this one.
Yeah, that's right. Did you get any more names?
A few. Let me check the list for you.
All right.
Wanted the names and DR numbers on Caucasian women. 5 feet to 5 feet 8, 115 to 130 pounds, 20 to 30 years, blonde or brunette, assault and battery, M.O. Hitchhikes, rides, and robs drivers, uses gun.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's what the machine turned out, 19 of them.
Good.
Here are the names. The DR numbers opposite each one.
Fine. Any new names?
A few more than the last time. Anything else for tonight?
No, that's it for now. Thanks a lot, Ethel. Let's go. Bad start.
How's that?
17 of these names we checked and cleared already.
And the other 2?
Well, one's Catherine Collins. The other one's Beverly Allen. She might tie in.
We got nothing else to go on.
You want to get to the record bureau and pull the packages on these 2 names?
Yeah, okay.
I'll check robbery and see if we have any calls. Huh?
Right, Joe.
Okay. Hi, Captain. Any calls for us?
Just one. Thad Brown wants to see you.
Oh, bad mood?
Kind of. Wants me, too. Let's go. That fellow Maloney tell you anything?
Nothing that helped much. Same old story. No reports on that broadcast we put out for that Beverly Allen?
Not yet? No. You banking on it?
It's first lead in 16 nights.
Here we are.
Walker, Friday, come in.
How are you, boss?
Sit down.
Thank
Take
you.
a look.
Woman bandit gets 16th victim. Beautiful hold-up queen robs, shoots restaurant worker. Yeah?
It's on the editorial page, too. Something else. Memo from the chief. Here, letter from the Downtown Citizens Committee. Another one, Civic Club. They all want answers.
Men are doing all they can, Chief. We got 2 other teams besides Friday and Romero working the case. Special squad from Metropolitan Division. They're on it, too.
I don't care what we've done. We got to do more. 16 nights, 16 robberies, and 3 shootings. 3 victims still in the hospital. When do we blow the whistle on her?
We've checked out every possible lead, Chief. We got a warrant out on one suspect. We're checking out another one. Talked to that man Maloney, the one she got last night.
Well, what did he tell you?
Well, not much more than the other 15 that she took. Descriptions still don't match in one respect.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, in 10 of the 16 cases we've had reported, the victims tagged the girl hitchhiker as a blonde, long hair. 4 of them say she was a brunette with a short hairdo. 2 of them tell us the girl had red hair, long.
She's using wigs. That's what we figured. Checked every place in town where she could have rented or bought them. No leads.
What about some of the bigger supply houses out of town?
We've started in checking them. It'll take a little time.
And you've got practically nothing on the woman.
Same gun, 45 Colt. Lee Jones examined the bullet they took out of Maloney's spine.
How's he doing?
Oh, not good. The bullet smashed his spinal cord. His legs are paralyzed.
When do we stop her?
Yeah?
Romero?
Hi, Chief. Captain.
What have you got?
Pulled the packages on 2 possibles in this woman holdup thing. It's no good, Joe.
Why not? What about that Allen dame?
Zeal in Kansas City? I called him. Been in for a month.
And the other one?
Catherine Collins. I checked Seattle. Been in the hospital up there for the past 3 months in TB ward.
Where does that leave you, Friday?
Right back where we started. No leads and no suspects.
All right, Walker. Starting tonight, we cover every street and alley in the central area until we get that woman. We'll order up more men and more detectives from the Metropolitan Division.
Right, Chief.
Get out more decoy cars. Have the area covered from sundown till sunrise until further notice. Get that woman.
Right. Come on, Joe.
Hot shot.
I'll get it.
A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron. A 211 shooting at Gatewood and Cameron.
Let's go. The name on his driver's license said William Gillespie. We found him 50 feet from the corner of Gatewood Alley and Cameron Street. His face and head bore the marks of a vicious beating. There was a single bullet wound in his left shoulder. He was conscious when we arrived. Chief of Detectives Brown, Captain Walker, and Ben checked the area for physical evidence. I spoke briefly with the victim before he was placed on a stretcher and carried to the ambulance. On the way, he lapsed into unconsciousness. I went over to where Ben was standing with Chief Brown and Captain Walker.
Take a look, Joe. Captain found over there near the lamppost.
Yeah.
45 shell casing, same as the others.
How's Gillespie, Friday?
Doc says he'll be all right. Badly beaten.
Tough dame. She really works him over.
Wonder what makes a woman do things like this.
What makes a man do it? William Gillespie was taken to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. The shell casing, which we had found at the scene, was taken to Lee Jones at the crime lab for examination. It compared with the others. Jones confirmed that the markings on the bullet, which had wounded Gillespie, matched those on the bullet which had been taken from Maloney's back. Both bullets had been fired from the same gun. The Dragnet operation for the woman bandit went on. The men in the special detail covered every street and alley in the central area from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. the following morning. During the next 5 days, 11 suspects were picked up and brought in for questioning and then released after the victims failed to identify any of them.
Well, at least we got her stopped temporarily. She hasn't pulled a caper for almost a week.
Yeah, that doesn't bring us any closer to her. I don't know about you, but it's got me beat. 17 jobs, and she's as free today as she was before she started.
Joe, Ben, what'd you find?
Nothing. The last 4 women we questioned were clear.
What about the other men on the case, Ed? Did they get anything?
Baxter and Olson are down at the Record Bureau. Be in a minute. They've been out talking to some of the victims again. Tough one.
I've been thinking, how about a composite picture? We got enough to work with?
Artist in the crime lab's working up a couple of sketches now.
Yeah.
A lot of guesswork.
What about the descriptions of the clothes the girl wears? Anything there we could start on?
No, other than the fact that she wears flashy clothes.
Hi, Olson.
Any luck?
Not much. None of the victims have a very good idea what the dame looked like. Tall, good-looking, nice figure, that's all.
Nothing out of the ordinary, huh?
Well, some of them said she had kind of an unusual voice. Soft, low. That's about all they could remember.
It's not much help.
She's been described in 3 different outfits, is that right?
Yeah, green dress with a pink coat, white dress, dark blue jacket, bright red sweater, and a brown skirt. All Who carries a dark brown alligator handbag? Shoes to match. No hat.
Not much of a wardrobe, is it?
Maybe that's why she took up robbery.
Now, look, let's get on this thing. We've been chasing this woman for almost a month now, and she's still got the run of the town. How long's it going to take us?
If we only had a lead that was worth something.
Find it. It's there someplace. I've never reached a thief yet without digging for him.
I'll get it. Robbery Olson. Yeah. Right, Andy. I'll tell him. Anderson and burglar Joe wants to see you and Ben.
Thanks. Captain?
That's all.
Come on, Ben.
Yeah.
I'd like a day off, wouldn't you? We'll get one when we get this dame.
Right, Ed.
This thing isn't doing much for the skipper.
It's not doing much for our time off either, is it?
That fire department's got the racket 24 hours on and 24 off.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they get 3 days off in a row.
That's what you keep telling me. Here we are.
Joe? Ben?
Andy, what do you got?
Checking back on a job out in Hollywood. Heard you were having troubles. Came across this thing. Thought it might help you out.
What's that, Ann?
One of the picture studios had a burglary about a month ago. Thief got in the wardrobe department, then next door in the makeup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. Here's some of the stuff taken. Dress, coat. Oh, here, you can read it.
Okay, thanks. Mm-hmm. Red sweater, brown skirt.
Hey, look down here, Joe.
Where?
Right here.
Oh, yeah. Took 2 makeup kits and 4 wigs.
2 blondes, 1 redhead, 1 brunette. That's it.
Any leads on this job?
Not so far, no. Only got one thing to go on, a single footprint, size 9.
Pretty large size for a woman.
I didn't say it was a woman. Print was made by a man's shoe.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima. It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Those words are echoing across the country. Yes, Fatima has more than doubled its sales because Fatima smokers are telling their friends it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
And why?
Because Fatima contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
So, for a much different, much better flavor and aroma, smoke Fatima.
One of the most popular misconceptions of the working detective as offered by the fiction writers is the picture of a man with amazing talents for detecting evidence, analyzing human behavior and motives, and then, almost as if by magic, fitting all the pieces together to form the solution of the crime. The real-life picture is a little different. The working detective has a job. In a sense, it's a practical and down-to-earth job as baking bread or practicing law. It's his job to protect citizens and apprehend criminals, and it's a job he doesn't do alone. To assist him in collecting and analyzing evidence, he has the aid of the crime laboratory. To help him identify oddities in suspects or possible suspects, he has the Record Bureau, latent fingerprints, the statistician's office, the ballistics department. A battery of men and machines to aid him in reaching conclusions based on fact. Tuesday, October 9th, 9 p.m. For the past 8 hours, Thaxter and Olson from robbery and Ben and I had been requesting all of the 16 victims of the woman bandit. We asked them one question. Could their assailant possibly have been a man dressed as a woman? The majority didn't think so. Those that did weren't very sure. We followed the lead through. At 9:25 p.m., we checked in and headed down the hall for the stats office.
Do you think it was a man dressed as a woman?
I don't know.
1 male footprint. It's pretty slim odds.
Maybe the machines here can tell us.
Hello, Sergeant.
Back again, Ethel. Can you make a run for us tonight?
9:25. Sure, I think so.
Now, here's the dope right here.
I'm going to try another angle,
Yeah.
Let's see. Male Caucasians. About 5 feet 8 or 9, 130 to 135 pounds, feminine features, size 9 shoe, impersonating women, robbery and assault.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Armed, 45 automatic. M.O. Hitchhikes, rides, and robs drivers.
How soon do you think you can have it for us?
Well, we make the run on the collator. Have to punch up the master first with all this information and let the machine work the cards. I don't think I'll have it for you much before 11. That all right?
Fine, yes.
We'll check back a little before 11 then, huh?
They'll be ready.
Good. Come on, Ben. You call your wife after dinner?
Yeah. Wish I hadn't. She's mad as a hornet.
What's the matter?
kid's having a birthday party tomorrow, and I forgot to order the cake.
What's she going to do for the party? Bake one?
She have to.
And she pulled this gun on me and told me to stop the car. Well, I'm telling you, Captain, I just grabbed that gun and slapped that kid just as hard as I could.
Hold it just a minute, will you, please, Collins? This man's name is Emil Collins. Mr. Collins is Sergeant Friday, Sergeant Romero.
Oh, yeah. How do you do?
Oh, yeah.
I was just telling the captain here, I'm down here on a vacation. I'm from Sacramento, South Sacramento. I was driving down your Figueroa Street about half an hour ago and picked up this girl hitching a ride, and she tried to rob me.
Collins took the gun away from her, subdued the girl, and brought her in.
Where is she now?
Interrogation room. Thaxter and Olson are with her.
The description match?
Not too close.
Sounds like you didn't have too much trouble with her, Mr. Collins.
Well, now that I come to think of it, maybe I didn't. When she pointed that gun, I just grabbed for it and slapped her as hard as I could. Sure took the starch out of her.
Who is the girl? Any identification?
None. Thaxter and Olson haven't been able to get anything out of her. You want to try?
Sure.
What do you think, Skipper?
You tell me. See if you can make her talk. I'll have a stenographer take Mr. Collins' report.
Okay. Glad to meet you, Mr. Collins.
That's a pleasure. I'm only down here for a vacation, but if you need me, just call.
You bet we will, thanks.
How do you figure that one?
I don't know. Let's see what the girl has to say. Olson?
Joe, I want to talk to you before you go in.
Sure.
Did you finally get her to talk?
Well, Thaxter did. Pretty sure she's not the one we're after.
What's her story?
Said she read about this woman bandit in the paper, decided to try her hand at it, needed money.
Yeah?
Claims her husband left her. She's pregnant, needs the dough for a hospital.
She live here?
Up the coast, Monterey. Got in town 4 days ago, staying at the YWCA. We checked there. She's not lying.
You call Monterey?
Yeah, they confirmed it. She left there last Wednesday night. She's not the one.
Where do we go from here?
You'll take care of having her booked, huh, Olson?
Yeah, as soon as we get a station.
Okay, fine.
Friday, Ben, this way. Hustle it. You too, Olson.
What do you got, Ed?
4th and Lucas, 211 shooting. Let's go.
Any details?
Yeah. A tall blonde with a gun. Come on.
The woman bandit's 18th victim was a truck driver. His name, Harry Reese. His story differed a little from that of the first victim. The woman was hitchhiking near Alvarado and 3rd Street. He gave her a ride. She robbed him at gunpoint, slugged him, and then shot him through the left shoulder. He described her as tall, blonde, attractive, and well-dressed.
Guess I should have known better. Remember reading about the dame in the papers.
You're sure that the person who held you up was a woman?
I don't get you.
What he means is you don't think it could have been a man dressed like a woman.
Oh, no, I'm sure of that. No guy ever looked that good to me.
All right, Mr. Reese. We'll check with you later at the hospital.
Okay.
Let them get through, will you? Just move aside one side, please.
We keeping that truck cleared?
Yeah, Olson's got a couple of men watching it. He's going over it.
Same old story. Just another version.
Don't you think she's spreading it pretty thin? Her luck can't last forever.
It's got me beat, how she always manages to disappear without a trace.
Yeah. No, Ben, this way, over here.
Yeah, okay.
What do you got?
Better hustle it. 4 blocks down on the coal factory shooting. Just came in on the car radio.
Let's go. Slide over, Joe.
Yeah. Okay, hit the sign, Ben.
Yeah.
The crowd, watch him.
All right, Skipper.
That all that came over, Ben, a shooting?
That's all they said. See the cab driver, ambulance shooting.
This is working real fast.
What's the address for now?
3rd and East Flower Hotel. Hold on. This is it coming up.
Should be to the right here. Yeah, take a right. That must be it up ahead. I can't see. What's that sign say?
Edgemar Hotel for young women.
Here's a cab driver.
Officers, right over here.
Hey, looks like blood stains to me here all over the sidewalk.
Yeah, I guess it couldn't have happened any more than 5 or 10 minutes ago. I had this fare, see, picked her up at 4th and Bixel, and I drove her here. She paid the fare and got out.
Yeah, go on.
I was about halfway down the block when I heard a shot. At least it sounded like one. And when I looked back, this dame was down on one knee near the door to the hotel here, and by the time I backed up there, she was gone.
And you noticed the blood, huh?
That's right, yeah. I figured I better call somebody.
Can you tell us what the girl looked like?
Oh, not bad at all. Blonde, tall, pretty girl, nervous.
But you didn't see where she went?
No, but I didn't.
I'll get the driver's name and address. Joe, you and Ben, see if you can follow that trail. Stuff's all over the place.
Right. Over this way, Ben.
Yeah. It's not hard to follow.
Down this alley between the buildings.
How does this figure?
I don't know. Let's find out. Here we go. All the way back here. You got your flashlight?
Oh, yeah. Here it is.
Yeah, this way. Come on.
This must be the rear of the hotel.
Oh, look. The stains lead over this way to the back door here.
Let me try.
All right. Okay inside.
Still following?
Yeah. Careful. Up these stairs.
Yeah. Second floor. What's the matter? Did you lose him?
No. Just a minute.
See anything?
Yeah. Stains lead on up the stairs here. Let's go.
I just happened to think. This is a woman's hotel.
And they ought to keep the back door closed. Come on. Third floor. Let's hold it.
What is it?
Thought I saw a door open down the hall.
See anybody?
No. Let's go. This way.
It's an easy trail to follow.
Now, this is it. They stop here at this door. That doesn't sound like a woman.
Yeah, you ready?
Now, try the door first. Easy.
It's locked.
All right, come on. Together now. Let's hit it.
Yeah, all right. Watch it, Joe.
All right, you.
I got the gun.
Yeah. Well, we found what we came for. Look.
Still got the clothes on. Blonde wig, makeup, everything.
Please, help me. My leg. Call an ambulance.
It's on the way. Take it easy.
Have a look, Joe. The wigs, full makeup kit, clothes, living in a woman's hotel. The works.
It was an accident. You never would have got me. I dropped the gun. It went off. You never would have got me.
Yeah, that's right, mister.
It was an accident.
You better get the boss in here. I'll stay with Glamour Boy.
Yeah, okay.
And Ben.
Yeah?
Leave the door open, will you? House rules.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On January 14th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 79, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette.
They find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
Enjoy extra mild Fatima yourself. Best of all long cigarettes.
The welfare and security of your home and your family is a subject of national importance next week, National Crime Prevention Week. The efficiency of your local police department is dependent upon your attitude toward your police officer. Not just 1 week out of the year, but every day in the year. He wants your cooperation. He needs your cooperation for the enforcement of your laws. Help your officer to help you to live in a peaceful, orderly community. National Crime Prevention Week costs you nothing, just your cooperation.
James Harold Sutter, alias the Bandit Queen, was tried and convicted on several counts of assault with attempt to commit murder and robbery of the first degree. He was sentenced to the term prescribed by law. While serving his time in the state penitentiary, he was stabbed to death by another inmate. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Hear Morton Downey tonight on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent. Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to bunco detail. An expert confidence man has resumed operations in your city. His criminal record dates back 35 years. He's a master in the art of the gentle swindle. Your job, stop him.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, July 28th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch at a bunco detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 10:45 a.m. when I got to room 38, bunco fugitive detail.
Friday?
Captain? They're bringing him in now.
Sit down.
Thanks. There's the mama sheet on him.
Oh, Gentleman Wallace. I thought he was out of our hair for good.
So did I. The list turned up. I heard he was working in New York.
Look at the package on this guy. It's like a good-sized dictionary.
Yeah. Check the date of his first arrest there.
June 2nd, 1913. He's been in and out of jail all over the country. McLean County, Oregon, forgery. Bum check beef, San Francisco, 1914. Embezzlement, Santa Ana. Parole violation, Seattle, Portland. More checks, Reno. Billings, Montana, forgery, 1920. Dayton, Ohio, Pittsburgh, New York, grand larceny. Bunco Raps, Las Vegas, Cleveland, Chicago.
That's only the first page. There's a couple more there.
Yeah, reads like a novel.
Just about as long.
What's the story on Wallace this time? What have we got?
We reached a couple of used car dealers Saturday. Took them for $2,000 each, and we can't touch him.
Why not? How'd he work it?
Well, Saturday afternoon, he went to a car lot on the corner of South 3rd and Washington. He bought a 1948 Lincoln sedan. Showed him his identification, wrote a check for $1,500 for a down payment, and drove away.
Another bum check deal.
That's a little more than that. About 45 minutes after he left, he drove into another used car lot 2 blocks away from the place where he bought the Lincoln.
Yeah.
Told the salesman there that he didn't like the car and he wanted to trade it in on another one. The salesman offered him $900 less than he paid for it. Wallace accepted and offered him a personal check to cover the balance.
And the salesman went for it?
Almost. Wallace seemed so anxious to get rid of the car that the clerk got suspicious, but it was late Saturday and he couldn't call the bank on Wallace's check.
So he called the place where Wallace bought the car.
That's right. They found out that the sale was made less than an hour before and that Wallace had given them his personal check for it. And then the 2 used car dealers got on the phone, decided that Wallace was pulling a fast hustle, called the cop, and had him jailed. Hold that light a minute, will you? Thanks.
Well, then what?
Well, when the banks opened Monday morning, they called about Wallace's account. He had enough money in to cover both checks. Wallace got a lawyer and threatened suit against the 2 car dealers. He had both of them cold. They settled out of court for $2,000 apiece.
Quick deal. Sounds like a master.
He's been grifting for 35 years. He knows the con game any way they want to play it. We can't even book him on a VAG charge. He's got a job.
Who's he working for?
Plastic outfit out in Pasadena. Salesman.
Is he registered under 5238?
He is.
No, just a minute. Yeah? All right, send him in. Romero, he's got Wallace with him.
Oh.
Captain?
Ben?
Wallace, this is Captain Bryce.
Captain, I'm very happy to know you. I've heard a lot about you.
Yeah.
Sergeant Friday, how are you?
We'd like to talk to you, Wallace. Sit down.
Oh, well, thanks. Warm out today. Perspiring. Now, what is it I can help you gentlemen with? Always glad to cooperate.
You don't have to give us a build-up, Wallace. We're not buying.
You know me better than that, Sergeant. No point in making this visit an unpleasant one. Cordiality, that's a secret. My mother always used to tell me that. She used to say...
Look, mister, you're not here to get the keys to the city hall. You're here for investigation.
I'm here out of courtesy, Captain. My lawyer informed me I didn't have to come.
I don't believe in making enemies, that's all.
For a guy that's not trying, you've done pretty well, haven't you? Now, how long do you plan to stay here in town?
Los Angeles is my home. It's my place of business.
That's fine with us, Wallace, just as long as it's honest. Now, let me hand you a piece of advice. You try copping any more jobs in this town, and we're going to lean on you, understand?
I don't think I do understand, Captain. The incident with the used car dealers, I hope that isn't what upset you.
You guessed it, and it better be the last caper you try around here for a long time.
I had every right to take action against those car dealers. False arrests. They humiliated me. They damaged my reputation.
Here's your reputation, Wallace. 35 years of it. 10 jail terms, larceny, bunco, forgery.
Have you ever heard of rehabilitation, Sergeant?
Oh, yeah.
I did my time. I don't owe them a day. I've got an honest job. I've been off the grift for years now.
And take a hint, Wallace. Stay off. You'll do better.
That's all, Wallace. Just remember, the next time we tag you, you're going to fall hard. You got it straight?
Captain, I've been square since I got to town. I'm not switching. Is that it?
That's all.
Well, that wasn't so bad. Would you gentlemen care to have some lunch with me at the club? Just a snack?
No, thanks.
Sure, I can't persuade you. Club's just up the street. Fine food.
Some other time, Wallace. Goodbye.
Well, goodbye, Sergeant. Goodbye to you, Captain.
Yeah.
Well, we gave him the word.
I don't know how much good it's going to do.
What do you think, Skipper?
Two things about grifters. They never retire and they never change. Watch him.
For the next 4 months, Charles Wallace was kept under surveillance. From his daily actions, there was nothing to indicate that he'd returned to his former profession of confidence man. From experience, we knew it was too good to be true. For a man who had worked the con game from every conceivable angle for as long as Wallace had, chances of his going straight amounted to less than 1 in 1,000. Just as a dope addict is a slave to drugs, the full-fledged con man or grifter is obsessed with the idea of swindling for a living. He loves his work, and he takes pride in it, just as much as a doctor, a lawyer, or any legitimate professional man. He has a life and a code of ethics all his own, even has his own language. The grifter's victims are wealthy, middle class, and poor, and many more than the average citizen imagines. Wednesday, December 1st, 1 p.m. Ben and I had lunch and checked back in at the office.
Food's getting better at the cafeteria, don't you think?
Well, beef stew is pretty good. You got an extra coat hanger in your locker?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Conlon.
Joe, did you see this report the post office detail sent over?
You mean that Lonely Hearts ad?
No, this is a different one. Beale Twist.
How do you mean, Harry? Let me look, huh?
Here. Barney Grant, that's the name he uses anyway. A couple of weeks ago, he planted a small want ad in the newspapers around town. Been cleaning up ever since.
How'd he work it?
Here, take a look at the ad he was running.
Remember, tomorrow is the last day to send your dollar to Box 565, Main Post Office, Los Angeles. Was that all?
That's all it took. The last couple of days, I've been getting about 40 letters a day from people in this city.
With $1 in each one.
Ad doesn't promise a thing. Just send your dollar. People send them.
They picked the guy up, Harry?
He called for the last batch of letters 2 days ago. Probably pulled out. Postal inspectors checked the address he gave when he applied for the box. They never heard of him there.
Barney Grant. That sound familiar to you, Ben?
A little, yeah. Maybe R&I has a package on it.
Mm-hmm.
Friday, see you a minute?
Right, Captain. Ben, you and Conlon want to check that name through R&I? I'll be in with the skipper.
Yeah, okay, Jack.
Well, Friday, close the door, will you?
Sure.
This is Mr. Sawyer. He's with the Western Central Railroad, Sergeant Friday.
Sergeant?
How are you?
It's about Wallace, Friday. Mr. Sawyer has a complaint against him. We've got the crime report.
Gentleman Wallace?
Yeah. You want to fill him in, Mr. Sawyer?
Well, Sergeant, I'm employed as a standards engineer for the Western Central Railroad. Wallace first approached me about a month ago. He said he was an inventor, and he was working on plans of a new type of air brake for use on railroad cars.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
He said he'd conceived the idea, but that he needed more time and money to perfect his invention. He told me I'd share in half of the profits he got from his idea. It sounded more than fair.
How much money did you give him?
All I had in my savings account, $3,000. I talked it over with the wife, and the idea looked real good on paper.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to make too much money for myself out of this, but I thought if I could get a hold of this braking system, it would certainly help the company out.
Mm-hmm. He took your money, and you haven't heard from him since.
Well, I presented the plans to the chief specifications engineer in our eastern office.
Yeah?
I got an answer yesterday, airmail. Our New York office has been working for 2 years on exactly the same set of brake plans.
And how'd he get a hold of them?
From the Patent Bureau in Washington.
Oh,
The company has a patent pending on the new device.
It's all legal, isn't it?
Yes, yes. He simply got the information from them, drew up an exact copy, and submitted them to me.
He sold you an invention that your company already owned.
Yes, sir. And I'm out $3,000.
You know where Wallace might be now?
We've checked the boarding house where he was staying. He left there last night. No forwarding address, nothing.
We've got an all-out points bulletin on him. Do everything we can.
Well, thank you, Captain. Sergeant Friday. You have my card. If there's anything I can do to help, please call.
All right, Mr. Sawyer. Goodbye.
So long.
I don't know what we're looking for, Joe.
Well, let's see.
What's that, Romero?
On that phony ad the post office detail reported this morning. Check the name Barney Grant through the crime index. That's the name the guy used.
Yeah?
Oh, this is the package on Gentleman Wallace.
That's right. His alias list goes for 3 pages. Read him again.
Charles French, Walter Grant, Charles Grant, Barney Grant.
That's right. Gentleman Wallace, Barney Grant, same guy.
We got out a local broadcast, an APB, and a radiogram on Charles Gentleman Wallace. For a full month, there wasn't a sign of him. Then we received a communication from the Denver, Colorado Police Department. Wallace had cashed worthless checks in that city in the amount of $2,500, and then he'd skipped town. But before he left Denver, he managed another deal. He sold 30 cartons of electric razors, which 1, did not belong to him, 2, had been stolen from another con man and resold, and 3, the razors didn't work in the first place. The mechanisms had been taken out and replaced with lead weights. Another 60 days passed before we got the next report on Wallace from Cleveland, Ohio. By means of forged papers, 2 well-versed assistants, or ropers, and a fast line of talk, Wallace had sold a Cleveland hardware concern a shipment of 10-penny nails, much below the market price. He collected $1,200 as partial payment for the shipment, but it was never delivered. 8 a.m., Monday, March 3rd. Ben and I checked in for work after a weekend off and found a message in the book to report to Chief of Detectives Thad Brown.
Chief, you wanted to see us?
Come in.
Yes, sir?
Gentleman Wallace is back in town.
Where'd you get that?
Guy by the name of Patterson. So.
All right, thanks.
Egan, have Patterson brought to the interrogation room.
Is that Mouse Patterson's keeper?
Yeah, small-time grifter. He was running with Wallace as late as a month ago back in Pittsburgh.
When was Patterson picked up?
Last night at a big hotel out in Hollywood. He was working a fast deal.
You think he came to town with Wallace?
I know he did. One of Conlon's informants spotted Wallace and Patterson last night. We nabbed Patterson. Wallace slipped away. We figured he'd been operating in and out of the city for about 2 weeks.
Any idea what his angle is this time?
I think so. Take a look at this.
Obituary notices clipped from the newspaper.
How do these tie in?
The con artist takes a dead man's name from the obituary list, finds out a little bit about him, and writes him a letter.
He writes the dead man a letter.
Here's a sample we had reported to us. Read it.
William Radford, 233 South Brookway, Hollywood. Dear Bill, I heard you were sick, and I didn't want to bother you at this time, but believe me, I'm desperate. I don't mean to hound you about the $400 you borrowed from me, but we are having sickness in our family, and I do need the cash. Wait a minute.
Wallace writes a letter like this to a man knowing he's dead, and the family opens it and reads it.
And they figure it's some unpaid debt that they didn't know about, which the deceased owed.
That's right. And the con man collects.
Yeah.
Letters have been showing up right in the middle of funeral arrangements. The family's bereaved, grief-stricken, caught off guard. They don't suspect anybody could be that ruthless, so they pay off if they think there's a legitimate debt.
That sets a new low, doesn't it?
Excuse me. Brown speaking. All right, thanks. I got Patterson in the interrogation room. You question him, find out everything you can.
Right, Chief.
When you're through talking to Patterson, you can start checking on these names.
What's this?
It's a list of all the names that appeared in the obituary column in today's paper.
It's a long list.
Donald and Myberg are checking half. You and Romero take the rest.
Right.
Get to those families before Wallace does.
We went down the hall to the interrogation room and questioned Patterson for an hour and a half. He denied that he even knew Wallace. He refused to tell us anything. We had Patterson return to his cell in the county jail, and Ben and I started up to check with the relatives of the deceased who appeared in the daily obituary list. Adams, Connolly, Craig, Denberg, Donzetti, Edmonds, Fowler. None of them had received letters claiming payment of secret debts owed by the deceased. Well, there are more pleasant jobs than bothering families with an investigation in the middle of their sorrow. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. The 8th name on the obituary list was Foreman, Carl J. He was survived by his wife, Jean. She lived at 5821 Santiago Street out in the valley.
We're sorry to intrude at a time like this, Miss Foreman. We know how you must feel, but it's an important matter.
That's all right, Sergeant. Carl was sick for so long. Probably better this way. What did you want to know?
Since your husband passed away, have you received any letters asking for payments on a debt that he might have owed to somebody?
Funny you should ask. Yes, I have. I got it yesterday.
Yesterday. Do you know the man who wrote the letter?
No, I didn't. I took it for granted that it was someone Carl knew in the Army. Someone he'd borrowed from.
How much money was it he said your husband owed?
$400. There's a letter over the mantel. I'll get it for you.
Fine.
Here it is.
Thank you. Signs his name Howard Michaels. Has this man contacted you since?
Why, yes, he has. He called me last night and said that he'd just heard about Carl. He apologized for writing the letter. Said he had some medical bills of his own to pay. I went to the bank this morning and got the money for him. Is there anything wrong?
And he's supposed to come here and get the money?
He already has about 2 hours ago. He seemed to be a very good friend of Carl's.
Ben, you got that mug shot on?
Yeah. Yeah, here it is.
I don't understand, Sergeant.
Is this the man who picked up the money this morning?
Yes, that's Mr. Michaels.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think he was Carl's friend?
I don't think so, Miss Foreman.
But no one would do that. Who could be that low?
You're looking at his picture, Miss Foreman. His name's Wallace.
You are listening to Dragnet for the step-by-step solution to an actual police case. Here, step by step, are the reasons why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Step 1. The name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Step 2. Long cigarette smokers discover Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Step 3. Long cigarette smokers find Fatima extra mild. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
And that's why more and more smokers every day agree.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Yes, the name Fatima on that golden yellow package is your insurance of an extra mild smoke.
So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
Over the past century, the confidence man here in the United States has earned the dubious title of aristocrat of the underworld. Among small-time thieves, cutthroats, dope peddlers, pickpockets, and similar small fry, he's looked up to and respected. The true con man does not consider himself a crook or a thief in the ordinary sense of the word. He's smooth, courteous, fast-talking, and he lives by his own code of rules. He never uses violence. He makes his living by his wits alone. Generally, he's far above average intelligence, and he's totally without a conscience. He thinks no more of fleecing a day laborer of his wages than he would of fleecing a millionaire. Because of their carefully planned operations, only a handful of confidence men are ever brought to trial. Monday, March 3rd, 6 p.m. Ben and I completed our interviews with the families of the deceased and returned to the office.
Hi, you two have any luck?
Wallace is the guy. We found out that much.
Who identified him?
Woman out in the valley, a Mrs. Foreman. Wallace posed as an old friend of her husband's, took her for $400.
How about Colin and Myberg, Captain? They get anything?
I haven't checked in yet. I'm waiting for him. How does Mrs. Foreman make a payoff to Wallace? Through the mails?
No, sir. He came out and picked up the dough in person.
And then there's no chance of tracing him through the post office. Seems like he comes up with a new M.O. every day.
We checked out the rest of the families of the deceased on the list. The chief gave us no leads.
Don Myers and handwriting checked the letter Mrs. Foreman got. The writing matches with the others. It's Wallace.
Hi.
No, Conlon. Myberg with you?
Down the hall in handwriting. Checking a couple letters with Myers.
Do any good today, Harry?
Some. We found 2 families got phony letters through the mail. Same deal, Wallace.
They pay off to him yet?
Neither one. Told him to sit tight and call us if the guy should contact him again. Explain the setup.
Who are the people, Harry?
Let's see. One's an old fella. Oscar Dunn lives over in Highland Park. Others a pretty wealthy family, Bel Air. Here it is. Elizabeth Secor. She's the wife. Husband's name, Burton James Secor. Investment broker. Died day before yesterday.
How much of a debt is he supposed to have owed?
The guy in the letter claims $1,200. Signed himself William Kilbright.
The letters mention anything about how the payoff's supposed to be made?
The guy wrote he'd contact him by phone first, then make arrangements to meet him. Both families will call as soon as they hear from him.
Now, if he doesn't change his M.O., we're set.
Count on you and Myberg stick with the family in Highland Park. Make sure they understand perfectly what the setup is. If Wallach makes a contact, be there.
Okay, Cap.
Joe, you and Ben cover the family out in Bel Air.
Okay, you got Secor's address here?
Well, here's a crime report. It's got all the dope.
Good.
Now, I'll grab it. Bunko, fugitive Conlon. Yes, ma'am? When? All right, thanks. We'll take care of it. Secors. Wallace just called him.
What's the pitch?
Wants to pay his respects. He's going to visit him tonight.
7:35 p.m. Monday, March 3rd. Ben and I drove out to Bel Air to the Secor place. It was an English-type mansion with a circular driveway out in front. The wake for Mr. Secor was being held in the living room. The butler showed us into the library where Mrs. Secor was waiting. She told us everything that had transpired since she first received the letter from Wallace following her husband's death. She said Wallace had promised to be at her home promptly at 9 p.m. We waited. 9 p.m. came and went. We told her that if the suspect should call, to make any concessions, to agree to anything in order to set up a meeting with him. At 10 minutes past 10, the phone in the library rang. Mrs. Secor answered it. I listened in on the extension.
I'm terribly sorry, Mrs. Secor. I did want to get out to pay my last respects, but I'm afraid that will be impossible.
Oh, I'm sorry you won't be able to come. I'd like to settle up that debt, the money that Burton owed you.
I do hope you understand, Mrs. Secor. It's very difficult for me to bring up such a subject at this time of your bereavement, but I do have need of the money. You see, it's my wife. She's quite ill, and, well, there are medical expenses to be met.
Oh, I understand. When would you like to come for the money?
Well, would tomorrow be all right?
My husband's funeral is tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Well, where will that be?
At the cathedral on Sunset Boulevard. A requiem mass at St. Mary's at 9 o'clock.
Well, since I don't want to bother you personally anymore, I wonder if it would be possible for you to leave the cash with the head usher there at the church.
Well, yes, all right. I think that would be the best way.
All right, then. Good night, and thank you.
Yes, good night.
I'm sorry. I know that's not easy for you.
That's all right, Sergeant. It's strange, isn't it?
What's that?
One man burns out his whole life making money. The next man spends his time trying to steal it. What does it all mean?
I don't know. We got 2,600 men down in the county jail. We all think they've got the right answer. Tuesday, March 4th, 9 a.m. In St. Mary's Cathedral on Sunset Boulevard, the final rites, the Requiem High Mass, was being celebrated for Burton James Secor. Ben and I were stationed at the rear of the church. Conlon and Myberg, together with 2 other men from Bunko Detail, covered the side exits. An extra detail of men were placed at strategic points around the cathedral. The head usher stood a few feet from the main entrance. With him, he carried a plain manila envelope filled with pieces of newspaper cut to resemble the size of currency, along with a $1 bill. He had instructions to hand over the envelope without question to the person who asked for it.
15 minutes past 9, Joe.
Yeah. I see that head usher all right.
Yeah, I've got him spotted.
All right. Pretty good-sized crowd here. Secor must have had lots of friends, huh?
Yeah. Nice choir. Just wondering, Joe.
What's that?
Suppose he doesn't show up.
Well, that's possible. He might have gotten suspicious.
Could be.
What time you got now?
It's 9:20. Yo, look. Uniformed messenger just came in the door.
Yeah. Looking around. He's going up to the usher, talking to him.
That's it. Usher gave him the envelope. Messenger's leaving.
I know. Let's hold it. Give him a lead. All right, let's go. All right, let's go, Ben. Don't lose him.
He's getting into that cab.
Come on. Slide over.
You got the cab number?
Yeah, let's move. 10:30 a.m. Ben and I trailed the cab to a bus depot in downtown Los Angeles. We followed the messenger in and watched him check the manila envelope in a key locker. We waited. At 11:45 a.m., another uniformed messenger entered the bus depot, picked up the envelope, and left. We followed him to the Union Railroad station, where he left the envelope at the traveler's aid desk. At 3 p.m., the envelope was still there, unclaimed.
No sign, Joe. What do you think?
It's a pretty fancy switch he's got worked out.
Yeah.
What time's the next train leave?
3:25. Coast limited for San Francisco.
3:21 now. Wait a minute. See that porter over at the desk there?
I'm talking to that girl there. I don't know.
That's it. She's giving him the envelope. Come on.
Yeah. He's heading up the ramp.
Yeah, let's hustle.
You turn up the left?
Yeah, passenger platform, coast limited.
Not much time.
Come on, run. Come on, Ben.
Where'd the porter get on?
Next car. Come on, run. Let's jump. This way. Through here.
That the same porter?
Yeah. He's knocking at the door to that compartment, handing him the envelope.
That's it.
Let's go.
Yeah, it's locked.
Knock.
Yes? What is it?
Conductor.
Just a minute. What is this?
All right, Ben.
Now, look, Sergeant, there's no need for any unpleasantness. Certainly we can sit down and talk this thing over like intelligent human beings.
Grab the luggage, will you, Ben? All right, let's go, Wallace.
Look, will you wait a minute, please? I'm sure we can come to some agreement. I have plenty of money. Look, right here alone in this envelope, plenty of... There's only $1 here. The rest is newspaper.
I know.
I've been taken.
So have a lot of people. Let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 23rd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Charles Gentleman Wallace was tried and convicted on 4 counts of grand theft and sentenced to the state penitentiary for the term prescribed by law, with holds being placed on him by 4 other states. You have just heard Dragnet, authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of True Detective magazine for their considerate appraisal of this program. For those of you who may be interested, the behind-the-scenes story of Dragnet appears in the March issue of True Detective.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, hear the Ronald Colmans in the charming series Halls of Ivy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A police officer is shot down on the front steps of his home. There's no apparent motive for the shooting. The assailant escapes in a blue sedan. Your job, get him.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, May 23rd. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. I was off duty reporting back in on an emergency call. It was 5 minutes past 3 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. How is he?
He's dead.
Oh? Went kind of fast.
I just got the call a couple of minutes ago. He died on the way to the hospital.
Friday, Ben, let's go. Thad Brown's office.
All right.
How did it happen, Skipper?
Haven't got all the details. Guy used a shotgun, point blank. Fillmore didn't have a chance.
Chief of the detective's office, he got crime lab? Yeah, out there now. Right.
Chief Brown Egan?
Down the hall with Captain White, intelligence office. Said to have you wait.
Okay, we'll be inside.
Right.
You want to fill us in, Skipper?
Not much to tell. Fillmore was working the day watch out of robbery. He left work at 6 o'clock last night, drove home.
Yeah.
He had dinner, then he and his wife went to a show. He got home about 11:30, went to bed.
Yeah.
About 1:30 this morning, the front doorbell rang and Fillmore answered it. His wife said she heard him open the door, and there was a gunshot. She ran to the front door in time to see a guy jump in a car and drive away. Fillmore was lying on the porch, chest ripped open.
You say the guy used a shotgun?
Yeah.
No other information on the car he used?
Blue sedan, that's all the wife could tell us. She didn't get the license number, said it looked like a new model car.
No physical evidence.
Haven't found anything yet.
Here's the boss.
Chief?
Elliot, you briefed Friday and Romero?
Told him much as I know.
Any idea what the guy's motive was?
Revenge.
Any leads?
Just one. Then White Intelligence came up with it. A guy by the name of Jake Carver.
Carver? Not familiar.
He got out of Folsom 3 days ago. Served 7 years armed robbery.
Yeah.
Fillmore was the man who got Carver and sent him up. The time he was sentenced, Carver swore up and down he'd get Fillmore when he got out. Hot-headed punk.
Where do we look for Carver?
Already checked where he's supposed to be staying. Not there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a list of guys he used to run with before he went to Folsom.
Thanks.
Let's see, Joe.
Here it is. Ralph Danton, Ernie Travis, Jaime Flores.
Carver been seen around town since he got out?
Once that we know of, in a bar out on Sunset Boulevard. Flores was with him.
Well, how about Travis and Danton? They still around?
Well, let's see. Travis went east 2 years ago. Danton's around. Still runs with Flores. That's where you start.
Flores?
Yeah.
Okay. Any reason?
2. Flores' sister used to go with Carver.
Yeah.
Flores owns a blue sedan.
3:20 a.m. We checked Jaime Flores' last known address, the old 76 Hotel down on South Alameda. Flores had moved. His forwarding address was his mother's house, 1232 Alabama Street out in Boyle Heights. His mother told us Jaime was living on County View Avenue in Highland Park. 4:30 a.m. We located the address.
No garage here. Wonder where Jaime keeps his car.
Not parked on the street.
Yeah? What do you want?
Police officers.
Oh.
Like to talk to Jaime Flores?
Jaime? It's late. We're in bed.
It's important. We'd like to talk to him.
All right. Wait. I'll go get him up. Jaime. Come on, get up. Come on, Jaime. Cops at the door want to talk to you.
What'd they say?
They want to talk to you.
Okay, baby. Yeah, officers. What can I do for you?
You Jaime Flores?
That's right.
We're looking for Jake Carver. You know where he is?
I wish I did. I'm through with that guy.
Why? What's the matter?
He borrowed my car the day before yesterday. Said he'd only be gone a couple hours. I'm still waiting.
You own a blue sedan, is that right?
Yeah, 48 Chevy. Why, did he crack it up?
Couldn't tell you. Do you have any idea where we can look for Carver?
If I did, I'd be looking myself.
You know if Carver's got a gun?
Why, that punk pull a job?
Does he have a gun?
In the trunk of the car. I use it on hunting trips.
What kind?
Shotgun.
4:45 a.m. We got out a broadcast and an APB on Jake Carver, containing a complete description of the car and its license number. Roadblocks were set up on all main roads leading out of the city, and police details at the airports, bus depots, and the railroad terminals were alerted. All of the people whom Carver was known to have run with before he was sent to Folsom Penitentiary were rounded up and brought in for questioning. While Captain Elliott from Homicide supervised the interrogation, Ben went across the street to check with a coroner at the morgue. I contacted Lee Jones at the crime lab. 6 a.m. We met in Chief of Detective Thad Brown's office.
Crime lab find anything?
Single footprint, that's all. Jones found it in one of the flower beds in front of Fillmore's home.
Is it tie-in?
Size 10. That's Carver's size.
Well, that'll help.
Is there any indication Carver might still be in the city?
No, there was a good 3 hours between the time Fillmore was shot and the roadblocks went up.
What about Carver's pals? Did they help any?
Well, Flores is the only one who admits seeing him since he got out.
What about Flores' sister, Dorothy?
She lives out in Long Beach, and Cenas and Burton are bringing her in now.
That guy, Flores, did you question him again, Elliot?
Yeah.
You satisfied with everything he told you that he knows?
That's right. He doesn't seem to be too close to Carver. No record of any correspondence with him while he was in Folsom.
How about the coroner's report, now?
Shotgun, close range, hit him hard.
Well, there's mugshots of Carver. Are they out?
Photocopy's still working on it. Turning out 2,000.
Excuse me. Brown speaking. Albert. Right. They got Dorothy Flores in the interrogation room. You want to talk to her, Elliot?
Ben, you and Joe talk to her. Tell Cenas and Burton to check in here. I got another angle I want them to start on.
Right, let's go, Joe. He must be as mad as a hatter. 3 days out of Folsom and he kills a cop.
Yeah, if it was him.
You got any other ideas?
You need more than a footprint. We got to find the gun, and we got to prove that he used it.
Hi. You two going to take over?
Yeah, Lloyd. You and Gil check in at the chief's office. The captain wants to see you.
Okay. You want the policewoman to stand by?
It's fine.
Let's go, Gil. See you guys later.
All right.
Along. You're Dorothy Flores?
Yeah.
You know why you're here?
Jake Carver. That's what they told me.
That's right. You know where he is?
No.
Have you seen Carver in the past 3 days?
Look, I don't want any part of the guy. He's nothing to me. He never was.
You used to go around with him, didn't you?
7 years ago, before he went to Folsom.
Mm-hmm. What happened to your eye, Miss Flores? Those bruises there on your arm.
We had a party. I fell and bumped myself.
Looks like a pretty new black eye. Did you have the party last night?
I told you, Jake's nothing to me. He's a crazy hothead. I don't want any part of him.
Was he around to see you last night?
I used to go with him, that's all. I don't care what happened to him.
You saw him last night, huh?
I didn't.
This is on a murder rap, Miss Flores.
I didn't want to see him. He came to my room. He forced his way in. I didn't want any part of him.
When was it?
Early this morning.
What time?
About 2 o'clock, maybe 10 after. He wanted money, acted like a crazy man. I told him I didn't have any money. He slugged me. That's how I got this mouth.
What do you want the money for?
He said he got the cop who set him up. He had to get out of town. He took my purse, $48 in it.
Was he driving your brother's car?
Yeah. I didn't want any part of him. I got nothing in this.
Did he tell you where he was headed?
Mexico. He's got friends across the border. Tijuana.
All right. Stay with her, Ben.
And get a stenographer, too, will you?
Yeah.
Righty.
The Flores girl, Skipper. Carva saw her this morning. Admitted shooting Fillmore. She says he's headed south for Tijuana.
Maybe he stopped off on the way.
How do you mean?
The drugstore in San Pedro just held up. Owner was shot and killed.
Yeah?
The guy was driving a blue sedan.
An immediate alert was teletyped to the coastal town south of Los Angeles in the vicinity of San Pedro. The San Diego police were alerted, as were the Mexican authorities in Tijuana and other designated points of entry along the California-Mexico border. 7:50 a.m. Ben and I, together with Lloyd Barton and Al Chambra of Homicide, drove down to San Pedro and checked in with Lieutenant Maxwell at San Pedro Homicide.
What kind of a gun did the guy use, Lieutenant?
I checked the body. Looks like it could have been a .45.
No chance it might have been a shotgun?
No, not that kind of a wound.
Who saw the guy make his getaway?
My wife did. We live right across the street from the drugstore. Wife heard the shooting, ran to the window. She says it was a blue sedan.
She didn't see the license plate?
No. I got a look at the car before it disappeared. It looked like a Chevy to me.
There's been no sign of it since the roadblocks went up?
Not yet. It's pretty hard to understand.
How do you mean?
Take a look at the map here. Here's Palos Verdes and Clifton to the west. Roadblocks there.
Yeah,
Here's the roadblock to the north, just this side of Harbor City. Another one northeast, near Wilmington.
Yeah?
This one here, outside of Long Beach.
Had 4 roads to pick from.
They're all blocked off, huh?
No turnoffs, no detours. All the roads are under patrol.
You think he got south beyond Long Beach before the roadblocks went up?
Not a chance.
It's hard to figure.
He could be hiding out somewhere along the way.
Excuse me a minute. This is Lieutenant Maxwell. Where? Okay, be right there.
Anything?
I found the car off the Coast Highway, blue Chevy sedan.
How about Carver?
Bloodstains in the front seat. That's all they found.
You are listening to Dragnet for the step-by-step solution to an actual police case. Here, step by step, are the reasons why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Step 1. The name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Step 2. Long cigarette smokers discover Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Step 3. Long cigarette smokers find Fatima extra mild. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
And that's why more and more smokers every day agree
it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Yes, the name Fatima on that golden yellow package is your insurance of an extra mild smoke.
So enjoy king-size Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
8:45 a.m. We found the blue Chevrolet sedan. It was lying overturned in a ditch just off a dead-end road on the edge of a grove of eucalyptus trees. Oil was still dripping from the crankcase. There were bloodstains on the upholstery in the front seat. In the glove compartment, we found 2 empty shotgun shells. Ben marked them with his initials for evidence and wrapped them in a handkerchief. The fingerprint men were called. We fanned out and started the search of the general area.
See if we can't pick up a trail in this eucalyptus grove here. Sure has got me beat.
What's that?
The car all smashed up back there, blood all over. The guy must have been hurt. How'd he get this far away from the car?
What makes you think he did get far?
Either that or he's hiding right under our nose. No sign of a trail through here?
No, there's nothing. There's a clearing up ahead. Come on, let's cut through this brush here. Ben, come here.
Yeah.
Take a look. The trunk of this tree.
Brown smears on it. The blood?
Maybe. Look, higher up on the trunk there is the same thing. Wait a minute.
Up in the tree. Can you see anything up there?
No, the branches are pretty thick. The trees go pretty high up. Good 60 feet up there.
Come here, Joe.
Yeah?
Follow my hand. Oh, no, just over at the left where I'm pointing.
Oh, yeah.
Cover, Ben.
You all right, Joe?
Yeah. Can you see him?
Yeah, up near the top.
Stay off, Burton.
Don't come in the clearing. He's up in one of the trees.
Throw that gun down, then come down yourself.
All right, Ben.
Steady, Joe.
It's Carver.
Shotgun's over there. You alive?
Yeah.
It's a hard tree to climb. Wonder how he got up there.
I don't know. But this was the only way to get him down. We called an ambulance and had Jake Carver taken back to Los Angeles to the county hospital, the prison ward. We took the shotgun and the empty shells and booked them as evidence with the property clerk. The wrecked blue sedan was impounded. 2 counts of murder were filed against Carver with the district attorney. There was still one important piece of evidence missing, the .45 pistol used in the robbery and murder of the San Pedro druggist. A month passed. While Carver recuperated in the prison ward of the county hospital, we were busy building a case for his conviction. We still had only enough evidence to convict him for one of the murders. Another 2 months went by. On August 30th, Jake Carver was brought to trial for the shotgun murder of police officer Robert Fillmore. 10 days later, the jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to a life term in Folsom Penitentiary. Knowing that we didn't have enough evidence to convict his client for the murder of the druggist, Carver's lawyer demanded an immediate trial on the second charge. Wednesday, September 12th, 10 a.m. I was called at the chief of detective's office.
Friday? Sit down.
Thank you.
Elliot and I have been talking about this Jake Carver thing.
They set the trial date yet?
Starts next Tuesday. Bringing Carver down from Folsom tomorrow.
It's bum luck. We're not going to convict him on the evidence we've got. We don't even have the gun.
We've got to get a conviction. He beat the death rap for killing Fillmore. If he gets over this one, that means he's still eligible for parole.
Yeah.
So he serves 10 years, maybe. Good behavior. He gets out and he's ready to start in all over again.
Yeah, if we could just sew him up for killing that druggist, we could put him away for good.
I don't know how, Skipper. It's a pretty good bet that no jury will convict him unless we find that gun.
We got another out. Just one.
What's that?
If we can get Carver to admit he killed that druggist.
It's a neat trick.
When you and Ben got him last May, did he see you at all? You think he could recognize you again?
Well, couldn't have gotten a very good look from where he was up in that tree. Ben did all the testifying at the trial. I wasn't even there. Now, he wouldn't know me. Why?
When they bring Carver down from Folsom tomorrow, they'll put him in county jail while he's waiting trial.
Yeah?
Chief figures if we could plant you in the same cell with him, there's a chance he might talk, if you play it right.
Well, I don't know. He's no beginner.
Neither are you. If you carve enough of the right bait at the right time, there's a chance he'll put his foot in it.
Maybe. All right, will you set it up with the county jail?
Yeah, and remember, he's a killer. Don't take any chances.
Suppose he gets wise.
Well, then we'll know you tried.
The following day at 2 p.m., I was booked at Central Jail as Joe Ramos, a robbery suspect. Ramos was the actual name of an Eastern thief whom we knew was not acquainted with Jake Carver. After being mugged and fingerprinted, transportation officers took me to the 12th floor of the Hall of Justice, where I was booked into the county jail. After that, I was taken down to a cell block on the 10th floor known as the high power tank, where prisoners charged with major crimes are held. During the day, the individual cells are left open, and the prisoners are allowed to visit with one another. I was taken back and shown the cell I was assigned to. Jake Carver was already there. He was playing two-handed poker with another inmate on the lower bunk.
Here you are, Ramos. This cell here. You can take the top bunk.
All right.
How many cards you want?
Make it 2, Jake.
Hey, move, will you? I want to get in my bunk.
Come on, make your bet.
Says 2 cigarettes.
You're 2, bunk you 6.
I said I'd like to get in my bunk.
Go on, Sam, play the game.
Okay, I'll see you.
Maybe you didn't hear me, Sam. I said I want to get in my bunk.
I heard you, Mac. I don't like shoving around like this.
All right, now, sit down. What's your complaint?
Didn't they tell you when you came through the door? They'd bury you in the hole for beefing in here.
Then as long as I'm in here with you, let's get it straight right now. Don't bother me. And while you're at it, keep your rum-dum pals out of here, you understand?
I don't think I do.
You'll be around quite a while, smart guy. I won't forget this.
Oh, yeah.
Showtime. Come on, here it is. What are you doing down there, Dobbin?
Nothing. I always sit on the floor.
Get back to your cell. Ciao.
Yeah.
See you, Jake.
What's this junk they feed you?
Boiled beef, boiled potatoes. It's a habit with them here.
Junk. Can you buy from the outside?
Candy. Sometimes pie. Guy comes around in the morning. Who are you?
Joe Ramos.
Ramos, huh? Chicago?
I've been there.
So have I. I'm Jake Carver. Hiya.
All right.
What are you up for?
Talk to my lawyer.
You got a smart mouth.
You got a big one. You take care of your own worries, huh? I'll take care of mine.
I ain't got any worries. I got it made. Hey, you want that piece of bread?
I don't want any of it. Take it.
Tell the truth, I never had it so good. No witnesses, no evidence. You can't touch me.
Sure. That's why you're in here. 3 days passed. By playing the part of the tough gunman from Chicago, I succeeded in getting close to Carver. Because of the close confinement, I was with him almost constantly, but he still refused to confide. In a roundabout way, I pressed him as much as I could for the answer without making him suspicious. No results. 8:55 p.m. Sunday, 2 days before the trial opened. Sam, Jake Carver, and I were playing blackjack in the aisle just outside our cell.
All right, Sam, hit me.
There you are.
Okay, I'm good.
Ramos?
I'll stand.
18. Pay 19.
That's all for me.
Me too. I'm going to hit the sack.
Yeah, just when I start to come back.
Always crying.
Hey, Ramos, seems to me I remember you. Haven't I seen you around City Hall?
Sure, I live there.
All right, it's time. Lock up.
No.
Ramos? What's he talking about?
I don't know. I got a headache. It's killing me.
Yeah? So let me crack your neck. It'll help it.
No, it's no good. You got any of them brown pills?
Come on, I'll crack your neck. Loosen up those nerves. Always helps me.
Yeah?
Yeah, here, let me show you. Come on, sit around.
Take it easy.
Just relax. Let yourself go.
Yeah?
I'll get my hands around the back of your neck. Come on, relax. Well, this won't hurt you.
All right.
You got to be careful with this stuff. You could break a guy's neck, you know?
Take it easy, huh?
What's the matter? Come on, relax.
All right.
Let me get a better grip on your neck.
Take it easy, huh?
All right, now. Yeah. All there is to it. How's that?
Well, it's not bad. Feels a little better. That works okay.
Sure. Hey, I noticed you had a visitor today. One of the boys from the East?
No. A friend of mine out here. He just got in town. The coppers are trying to pin a killing on him.
No? Who is he?
Max Wesley. He's a good man. Tried to say he pulled a job down in San Pedro.
Pedro, huh? What kind of job?
Stick up. Drugstore a couple months ago.
Yeah? That's what they got me on, you know?
It's funny. Well, I think I'll get some shut-eye.
What about this job they're trying to hang on him? He tell you?
I don't remember. The guy who ran the store was shot up, I think. Died. Max wasn't even in town when it happened.
Happened in May? Last May?
I don't know. I'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
Hard bed.
They didn't have nothing on Max, huh? They let him go.
Oh, not yet. He's out on bail.
No, I mean, no evidence on him. No gun, huh?
Yeah, he got a gun. I think that's what Max said.
Where'd they find it, he say?
I don't know where they found it. Go to sleep, will you?
You mentioned anything else about Pedro, like San Pedro Hills?
Yeah. Well, maybe that's where they found it. I think Max said that.
Oh. That couldn't be. All right. Listen, hey, Ramos, it wasn't the Harbor drugstore, was it?
What's eating you anyway? Will you go to sleep?
Look, Ramos, I gotta know. It's important.
What are you talking about? I gotta get some sleep.
Will you listen a minute? I ditched a gun down there in the San Pedro Hills.
All right, what are you worrying about? They don't send you up for hiding guns?
Listen, I'm hot on that job. They got me on one murder rap. If they tag me in another one, it's for keeps.
What do you want me to do? Talk to the governor?
Are you sure this guy Max said that they found a gun?
Now, look, Carver. Max said they found a gun in the San Pedro Hills. Now, you get on down in your bunk and let's talk about it in the morning, huh?
What kind? Did he say what kind?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Was it a 45?
Something like that, yeah. 45, I guess that was it. Now, listen. Got the jailer barking down here.
Quiet down in there.
All right. You go to sleep now?
Can't be. It's not the same one. They couldn't have found it. They haven't talked to me. Ramos. When did they find the gun? Did Max tell you that? When did they find the gun? When?
I don't know.
He didn't say where?
San Pedro Hills.
Ramos, I gotta know. Wasn't by a covert, was it? On the hill road?
I don't know. I'll ask Max the next time I see him. Is that where you ditched yours?
They couldn't have found it. Nobody could have. This covert, see, back on the road.
Yeah.
There was a piece of cement broken off the bottom edge of the covert, kind of a hollowed out space inside. I pushed the dirt all around it. You gotta ask Max. Ask him where they found that gun.
Yeah, I'll see him Wednesday. I'll ask him.
You gotta find out. They could put me away for good.
What are you worrying about? They haven't paired you up yet with the gun they found.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Maybe they didn't figure it. Maybe they forgot.
Maybe.
Yeah. Cops are dumb. They forget. That's what everybody says, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what everybody says.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 18th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima, best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
The murder gun, a .45 caliber automatic pistol, was recovered from the San Pedro Hills, and Jacob John Carva was brought to trial. He was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. The jury again refused to recommend the death penalty. Carva is now serving a life term in the state penitentiary without possibility of parole. You have just heard Dragnet, authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police, W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of Radio Best magazine for their considerate appraisal of this program. For those of you who may be interested, a novelized version of Dragnet appears in the April issue of Radio Best.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, hear Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman in the Halls of Ivy on NBC.
The story you are about to hear is true. Only the names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all long cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A confession
confessed murderess is paroled from the state prison for women. After 7 months, the parole office loses contact with her. Your job, find her.
If you want a long cigarette, smoke the best of all long cigarettes. Smoke king-size Fatima. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild. And that's why Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma than any other long cigarette. That's why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers coast to coast. So, enjoy Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Thursday, March 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Friday. We were on our way back from the state building, and it was 2:45 p.m. when we got to the city hall, room 29, handwriting analysis. Want to have a seat, Fred?
Okay, thanks.
I'll see if Don's around. Maybe in the back room.
All right.
Don Myers. Don, you here?
Yeah, come in just a minute. Oh, hi, Ben.
Got a quick job for you, Don. Can you spare a few minutes?
Think so? Hi, Joe. Didn't see you.
I'd like to have you meet Fred Galloway, state parole. Fred, this is Don Myers, our handwriting man.
I know
you.
Got a couple of signatures here. I'd like to have you check them now if you can.
No, I can try. Let's see what you got.
You want to show them, Fred?
Yeah. These 3 sheets here, Don, marked November, December, January. I'd like to know if the signatures on them compare with the signatures on these 2 here. They're marked February and March.
Let me see. Thanks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it shouldn't take long. Why don't you fellas have a seat, huh?
Yeah, okay.
How's this thing shape up, Fred? You figure that the Johnson woman's jumped her parole?
Got me. I don't know what to think.
How long's it been since you got out of prison?
Well, let me check you out on the details. I got the dope right here.
All right, fine.
Annie Marie Johnson. She sent up for a life term, 1933, murdered her husband, John, shot him to death. Started appealing for parole 1940, finally won it May 14th last year, paroled into the custody of Mrs. Laura Jean Muller.
Mm-hmm. Where does this Mrs. Muller live?
On Wilmington. Old friend of the Johnson woman. She fought for 10 years to get her released from Tehachapi.
Have you been in touch with Mrs. Muller lately, Fred?
Only by mail. We've been sending her monthly report forms all along. She's the person that Annie Johnson was paroled to, so the form has to be filled out, then signed by Mrs. Muller and mailed back to me.
Yeah, I know. And that's where you figured that something was wrong.
Well, we got the February and March reports back from her on time, all the usual questions answered properly. And it was the signature. Writing didn't look like Mrs. Muller's at all.
You think the Johnson woman is faking the signature?
Maybe. Tried to contact the Muller house half a dozen times the past couple of days. Nobody home.
There you go, man.
You got it?
Yeah. Let me see. These 3 here, November, December, January, they were signed by the same person.
Yeah.
Signatures on the February and March reports. They're pretty bad imitations. One person signed these 2. Another person signed these. No match at all.
Well, then the signatures on the last 2 reports were forged.
I'd say so.
She went up for murder. That's your department. You want to run it down?
Sure.
What's it add up to?
Could be a lot of things. Could be nothing.
Annie Johnson ought to know. Ben and I checked out of the office and drove down to Wilmington. We located the home of Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Muller on Seaboard Drive, just off Anaheim Street. It was an old-fashioned 2-story house set back on a big corner lot along with plenty of shrubbery. It was a faded gray with lots of Victorian gingerbread hung all over it. Fancy carved gables, carriage driveway with hitching posts, and pieces of thick colored glass set in some kind of a design in the window of the front door. Out in the harbor beyond Terminal Island, you could hear the foghorns.
They sure get the fog out here, don't they?
It's pretty thick today. My aunt used to live just above here, Grant Avenue.
Oh, uh-huh.
Couldn't take the fog, so she moved out the valley.
Garden could stand some taking care of.
Yeah, weeds are doing fine. Want to try it again?
What do you think?
Let's try the neighbors, huh?
Yeah, all right. That house across the street must be somebody there. I saw a woman shaking a dust mop out the window when we drove up.
All right. Kind of a bleak-looking spot up here on the hill, isn't it? Not many houses around.
Yeah, and this fog's doing nothing for me. Chills you right down to the bone.
What's the name on the mailbox there?
Let's see. Miss Flora Carpenter.
Well, maybe she can tell us something.
Are you the sewing machine man?
No, ma'am. We're police officers. Like to ask you a few questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you came about my finger.
No, ma'am.
I can't do any more work on my peasant skirt until the machine's fixed. And it has to be done by Saturday. Our folk dancing group's having a big jamboree Saturday night. Will you step inside?
Thank you. This is Sergeant Romero. My name's Friday.
Oh, how do you do? Fog's so refreshing, isn't it? Very vitalizing.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you acquainted with Mr. and Mrs. Muller across the street, Miss Carpenter?
The Muellers? Yes, I've known them for years.
And they have an Annie Johnson living with them?
Yes, one of my very good friends.
She's employed as a housemaid for the Mullers, is that right?
Well, I guess you could call it that. Actually, she's more of a companion to Mrs. Mueller since poor Mr. Mueller got sick.
What's his trouble?
His mind. Poor man just lost his senses. He's at the state hospital at Norwalk.
Mm-hmm. When did they send him there?
Let me see. This is March. Must have been last November. Yes, became violent.
Do you know where Mrs. Muller is now?
In the sanitarium out near Pasadena. Not well at all.
And Annie Johnson, is she still living at the Muller's house across the street?
Oh, yes. She went downtown to do some shopping today.
Did she say when she'd be back?
Well, no, she didn't, but we have a meeting of our book appreciation club at 8:30 tonight here at my house, and I certainly don't think she'd miss the meeting.
I see.
Miss Carpenter, do you happen to know the name of the sanitarium where Miss Muller's staying?
Garraway's. That's what Annie told me. Garraway's Rest Home out by Pasadena.
Mm-hmm. Have any of the neighbors been out to visit her?
Well, no, we haven't. Annie said the doctors there thought it'd be better if Mrs. Mueller didn't have visitors.
I see. I wonder if you'd tell us where we could find a public telephone in the neighborhood.
Oh, you can use my phone, Sergeant. It's right back there in the hall.
Fine, thank you.
I'll call him, Joe.
All right.
I'll have the operator charge it to our office.
You sure you can find your way back there, Sergeant? It's right under General Pershing's picture.
Yes, ma'am. No trouble.
I was just thinking, Sergeant Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you know anything about repairing sewing machines?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh. Well, Fluffy, there you are. This is Anna Johnson's cat, Sergeant. Isn't he simply gorgeous? Look at that fur.
Yes, ma'am. Nice
Genuine Persian. Annie brought him with her when she came to live with the Muellers.
Did Mrs. Johnson and Mrs. Muller always seem to get along fairly well together to you? I mean, no arguments?
Oh, my, no. Annie's the easiest person in the world to get along with. All us girls in the neighborhood just adore her.
Joe.
Did you talk to sanitarium?
Yeah, I double-checked the name.
Yeah?
Mrs. Muller's not there. They never heard of her.
Ben and I left and interviewed some of the other people in the neighborhood. They all had the same high opinion of Annie Johnson as Miss Carpenter did. They all had the impression that Mrs. Muller was under doctor's care at the Garraway Rest Home in Pasadena. Annie Johnson told them so. We found out that Mrs. Muller had one other living relative besides her husband, a niece, Lorraine Muller. She lived out on Norwich Drive in Beverly Hills. 5:30 p.m. Ben and I drove back to the office and made a spot check of every private rest home and sanitarium listed in the Los Angeles area. Mrs. Muller wasn't at any of them. We called the state hospital at Norwalk, and they informed us that Joseph Muller was there, having been committed the 2nd of November the previous year. He was critically ill. We put in another call to the Muller home. Still no answer. 6:15 p.m. We drove out to Beverly Hills to the home of Mrs. Muller's niece, Lorraine. She was a tall, good-looking girl with blonde hair and a bad cough.
I don't think I can help you, Sergeant. I moved out of my aunt's house 3 months ago. I haven't seen her since.
Oh, were you staying at the house when Annie Johnson came to live there?
I was raised in that house. Mother and Dad died when I was a baby, and Uncle Joe and Aunt Laura took care of me. They're wonderful people.
Would you mind telling us why you moved?
I don't mind. Everything was fine until Annie Johnson came. I didn't get along with her. We fought all the time.
Oh, is that so?
I don't know why. I just didn't like her. When Annie moved in, she took over the whole house.
Oh, what's the connection between your aunt and Mrs. Johnson? Any blood relationship there?
No. Annie was a school chum with Aunt Laura's. When they sent her to prison for killing her husband, she wrote for help.
And your aunt helped her?
She worked for 11 years at it. I don't know how much money she spent. Lawyers, you know.
Yeah.
She finally got Annie parole.
And then she took Mrs. Johnson on as a housekeeper, is that right?
Yeah, but she never did any work. She acted like she owned the house. Like my aunt and uncle owed her everything they'd done for her.
When's the last time you heard from your aunt?
It was a few months ago, around Christmas time. I called her up to wish her a Merry Christmas.
You have no idea where Mrs. Muller might be now? Some friends that she could be staying with, maybe?
No. Aunt Laura only has a few friends. They all live in the neighborhood.
She's not in the habit of going off without telling anyone, is she?
No, never anything like that. I don't understand her. Something must be wrong. Annie, do you think she's done something?
Do you?
No, she couldn't have. She owes everything to Aunt Laura. Her freedom, a good home, nice clothes, money. Everything my aunt could give her.
Some people are like that. If it's free, they never get too much. Before we left Lorraine Muller's house, we got the name of her aunt's lawyer. We had dinner at a lunch counter on La Cienega, and then we drove back to Wilmington to the Muller house. Lights were burning in the front windows. The fog was thick now.
Guess that's her singing.
Yeah. You want to ring the bell?
Mm-hmm. Can you see in through the curtains, Joe?
Yeah, she didn't hear it. Let's ring it again. There, here she comes.
Yes?
Are you Mrs. Johnson?
Yes, that's right. What is it?
Police officers, our identification.
Oh. Yes, won't you come in?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We'll go in the parlor, shall we?
All right.
Now, what is it you gentlemen want to know?
Well, it's about your monthly parole reports, Miss Johnson, the ones for February and March.
Yes?
We think the signatures on those two reports are forged.
Oh, those.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. I don't know what to say. I really didn't think it was that serious. I knew the reports had to be sent in.
Did you sign Mrs. Muller's name on them?
Well, yes, I did. You see, Laura Muller's at a sanitarium now, resting up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to bother her with all this business, so I signed them and put them in the mail. But forgery, I didn't think it was that serious.
Mm-hmm. Which sanitarium is Mrs. Muller staying at?
Garraway's. A very nice place. It's near Pasadena. She's been there about 2 months now.
Have you been out to visit her yet?
No, I haven't. I'm a little ashamed of myself. I've just been too busy keeping up the house here. It's lots of work.
Yes, I understand. I suppose you drove Mrs. Muller to the sanitarium.
As a matter of fact, I didn't. You see, we don't have a car, so she took a taxi cab.
Have you telephoned Mrs. Muller at the sanitarium?
Just once the day she went in. She's there for a good rest. I don't feel that anyone should bother her. Not even myself.
Does she have any other relatives? Besides her husband, that is.
None at all. Poor Mr. Muller. We had to send him away, you know, to Norwalk State Hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
Got out of hand. Just terrible. He almost murdered poor Laura once, and those were awful days. He's much better off where he is.
Yeah, it's too bad. Well, that's about all, Miss Johnson.
Oh, here. Let me show you to the door.
Thanks. You'd better contact your parole officer the first thing in the morning and clear up this matter of the reports.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good night, Miss Johnson. Thanks again.
All right. Good night.
What time you got?
20 minutes after 8. The light just went on in the attic.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We better go take a look around.
What do you think we'll find?
I don't know. Maybe a reason for some of those lies she told us. 8:35 p.m. Annie Johnson left the house and crossed the street to Miss Carpenter's place. In the Muller house, in a small desk in one of the rear bedrooms on the first floor, we found a file for Mrs. Muller's business papers. In the file, we located 3 of her insurance policies. There was one for $5,000 and 2 for $3,500. Each policy had a rider attached, changing the beneficiary from Joseph Muller, the husband, to Annie Johnson.
$12,000 worth of insurance.
Yeah, let's get them back in this folder. Did you get the policy numbers?
Yeah. What's this?
Let's see. Phone bill. Light bill. Here's one.
Labor bill. $1 an hour paid to Tom McCrae, charged to Annie Johnson.
Uh-huh. Let's go.
Yeah, I want to get this address here. Tom McCrae, East Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cat.
Yeah, let's go see what we can find upstairs, huh?
It's a pretty cat.
We went upstairs to the second floor of the house and searched the rooms. We went up another flight of stairs to the attic. For a full half hour, we searched through dozens of corrugated cartons crammed with souvenirs and picture postcards.
Joe, come here.
Yeah.
Take a look. Wrapped in newspaper.
3220 Colt.
3 empty cartridges.
Mm-hmm. We got a gun and we got a suspect.
Those insurance policies could be the motive.
Let's pray to God there's no victim.
You are listening to Dragnet for the step-by-step solution to an actual police case. Here, step by step, are the reasons why Fatima has more than doubled its smokers from coast to coast.
Step 1. The name Fatima has always stood for the best in cigarette quality. Step 2. Long cigarette smokers discover Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma. Step 3. Long cigarette smokers find Fatima extra mild. Fatima is the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make Fatima extra mild.
And that's why more and more smokers every day agree
it's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Yes, the name Fatima on that golden yellow package is your insurance of an extra mild smoke.
So enjoy king-size Fatima, the best of all long cigarettes.
10 p.m. An immediate stakeout was placed on the Muller residence in case Annie Johnson made an attempt to leave during the night. Ben and I took the gun that we'd found to the crime lab for analysis. The next morning, we checked with the Muller's family attorney. He had no idea as to the whereabouts of Mrs. Muller, but he told us that about 3 months ago, she'd ordered him to draw up a new will for her. Under the new provisions, Annie Johnson was to be the sole heir of the Muller house and property, plus an additional $1,500 in bonds. Friday, March 10th, 11 a.m. While Ben checked with the insurance company, I met with Captain Elliott of Homicide.
You got everything but a victim, huh? Where are you looking?
We'd like to shake down the Muller house again before we look anyplace else. Didn't have a chance to give it a thorough going over last night.
You're sold on the idea it's the Johnson woman?
Looks like it.
Sure it couldn't be a freak disappearance?
No, sir, not in my book. Annie Johnson's got some big reasons for lying to us. I'd like to find them.
How do you figure on doing that?
Well, if we could pull her in and question her, just to get her away from the Muller place. I'd like to take a detail of men out there and shake the house from top to bottom.
Just checked with the insurance company that issued Miss Muller's policy.
Yeah.
We got it right. Annie Johnson gets the door if Mrs. Muller dies.
Oh.
Something else. The changes in the policies were made during the last 2 months at her home. It doesn't jive.
Why not?
Well, Annie Johnson told us that Mrs. Muller's been in the sanitarium for more than 2 months.
Here's a gaffer, Joe.
What's that?
Gil and Zenas went out to State Hospital at Norwalk to talk to Mr. Muller.
Yeah?
Joseph Muller died at 8 o'clock last night. Death from natural causes.
What's that prove?
Wait a minute. When Joseph Muller was committed to the institution, Annie Johnson figured prominently in that commitment. She had a lot to do with sending him away.
Didn't take any chances, did she?
Annie Johnson is left with the house, the bonds, and the insurance money. She had all the answers.
Yeah, all but the right one.
While Captain Elliott called in Annie Johnson and questioned her, Ben and I, together with a detail of men from homicide and Lieutenant Lee Jones from the crime lab, drove out to Wilmington and started a thorough search of the Muller house. We took it floor by floor, starting with the attic. By 4 o'clock that afternoon, we had searched the attic and the second floor completely without finding any additional physical evidence. 5:30 p.m., still nothing. The fog was coming in thick now. Captain Elliott called and said the Johnson woman was on her way home. The search went on.
Anyone check the cellar yet?
Let's give it a look, huh?
Okay.
Joe, come on down. Lee's with me. We're checking some things.
What do you got, Lee?
Picked up this line of stains here, Joe. They run down from the top of the stairs. Pretty faint.
Let me see. Mm-hmm.
Try a few drops of benzodine, see what happens.
Okay. Let's have a look around, Gil, see what we can find.
There's no lights down here. You'll have to use your flash.
I go on.
Well, not much of anything, is it?
I guess they use the attic for their storage place.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Put the light over this way, will you, Gil? No, in the corner. That's it.
See something?
I don't know. Yeah, have a look here.
New patch of cement. Looks pretty new alongside the rest.
Yeah.
There's a sledge and a couple of shovels back in the garage.
Get them, will you?
Yeah.
Joe,
Yeah.
they just turned blue. Blood.
Lee Jones took some sample scrapings and went back to the crime lab to give them a precipitant test to determine if the stains were made by human or animal blood. We broke away the patch of new cement work in the cellar and we began digging. 6:30 p.m. Annie Johnson came home. We met her in the living room.
Sergeant, I wonder if you'd mind explaining this intrusion.
No, not at all. Will you sit down?
I believe I'm the one to offer hospitality here. It's my house.
Is it, Miss Johnson?
Well, it's in my charge. It's my responsibility.
Yes, ma'am, it is. We'd just like to clear up a few things, that's all.
I think the police department's taken up enough of my time. I spent half the day at the city hall answering silly questions. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an appointment at the beauty shop at 7 o'clock.
Maybe you better cancel it.
I don't see any reason why I should. What is that noise? Coming from the cellar. Someone's down there.
We're police officers, Miss Johnson. We're searching the house.
Searching this house? With whose permission?
Maybe they didn't make it clear to you downtown. We've got a good reason to believe that a crime's been committed.
Why?
Mrs. Muller. She's missing.
I told your Captain Elliott this afternoon. Laura could have left the sanitarium. She might have gone east to visit some friends in Cincinnati, I think. She has some friends in Cincinnati.
How could Mrs. Muller leave the sanitarium? She was never there.
Maybe she didn't stay at Garraway's. Could have been another rest home.
But she said you phoned her at Garraway's. You said you talked to her there.
Those men downstairs, they're going to dig up the whole house?
I try.
This bill, Mrs. Johnson, would you mind telling us what it was for?
There was a section of the cellar floor. It had never been cemented. I decided to have it done while Laura was away.
The men are digging it up, Miss Johnson.
Well, why are they digging it up? What right have they?
Investigation. We'll see that the cement work is redone when we're finished.
Well, this is impossible. I forbid it. This house is my responsibility.
No need to worry. Everything will be left exactly the way it was. We'll leave the house just as soon as the men are finished.
Oh. Well, then perhaps I can keep my appointment with the hairdresser. I won't be long. Should be back around 9.
I'm sorry. I think you better stay.
But I've told you everything I know.
Did you kill Laura Muller?
Did I kill... I can't take any more of this. Why would I want to kill Laura? She's done everything for me. She's given me a new life.
Did you kill her?
Why, no, of course I didn't kill her.
Oh, and there's no need to be upset.
Oh, my nerves. I got to have something. Glass of sherry. Yes. Dickie, how long is it going to take them?
That all depends, ma'am.
There's no reason for this. You don't know that anything's happened to Laura.
That's right.
Laura's the best friend I have in the world. 11 years. That's how long she fought to make them let me out of prison. She's the only one who believed in me.
Yes, ma'am.
She is. She's given me everything. She wants me to have everything. Everything I want. I wouldn't have a reason for killing her. Why, my clothes, my home here, money. They're all Laura. She's given them to me. Would you like a glass of sherry, Sergeant Friday?
No, thanks.
You know, Laura was much older than I, Sergeant. She could have taken her own life. She didn't have much to live for. Old and sick. But I got everything to live for. Laura used to tell me that. So she gave me everything. Laura was much older than I. Would you care for a glass of sherry, Sergeant Romero?
No, thank you.
This whole thing's so silly. Laura's away on a trip. She's much older than I am, you know. I'm 38. You wouldn't take me for a woman 38 years old, would you, Sergeant?
No, ma'am.
I know I'm not really young anymore, but I'm still attractive, don't you think? A lot of men prefer mature women. Women with experience, background. I'd know how to take care of a man.
Joe.
Yeah.
Joe, come here, my way.
Yeah.
We found her.
I didn't mean it. She didn't have anything to live for. She wanted to die.
Call the coroner, Gil.
Let's go, Miss Johnson.
No, I wouldn't want this. She knows I didn't mean it. She's the only one who knows what I went through. Years in prison. Laura understood me. She gave me everything.
Yes, she did.
Ask anybody. They all know how Laura felt about me. Ask anybody.
We can't ask her.
The story you have just heard was true. Only the names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 14th, trial was held in Superior Court, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
It's amazing how many long cigarette smokers are changing to Fatima. Here is the actual report.
From coast to coast, king-size Fatima has more than doubled its smokers.
Yes, more and more smokers every day are discovering that Fatima is the best of all long cigarettes.
Long cigarette smokers find Fatima has a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
Long cigarette smokers find that Fatima is extra mild because it's the long cigarette which contains the finest Turkish and domestic tobaccos superbly blended to make it extra mild.
So enjoy extra mild Fatima. Best of all long cigarettes.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
It's wise to smoke extra mild Fatima.
Annie Marie Johnson was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She was executed in the lethal gas chamber at the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. You have just heard Dragnet, authentic cases from official files. Technical advice for Dragnet comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.A. Wharton, Los Angeles Police Department.
Dragnet wishes to thank the editors of Radio Television Life magazine. They have judged Dragnet the outstanding new program of the past radio season.
Fatima Cigarettes, the best of all long cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet from Los Angeles.
Tomorrow, hear the Ronald Coleman's charming series, The Halls of Ivy, on NBC.